We don't get reports of people in Southern Kaduna getting killed or getting kidnapped, or their communities are not being attacked, and it just boggles the mind. Our big hard fact is that between January and July of 2020, Civic Media Lab counted press reports of 178 killings in Southern Kaduna. Between January and July of 2020, Civic Media Lab counted press reports of 178 killings in Southern Kaduna. Now, those are only the reports of death that made it to major national newspapers or online news sites or radio stations and TV channels, right? But it's still a large number. And of course, for every killing that makes the news, there are others that go unreported. So today we're going to look at the phenomenon as a whole. We're going to see why so many Nigerians are getting murdered. If so many Nigerians are getting murdered, we as a people need to know why. We need to find out what is being done by the government to protect our fellow citizens. Here to talk about it, I have two guests closely affected by the situation in Southern Kaduna. My first guest is a community leader, Ruben Buhari, and my second guest is a human rights activist and politician, Ndi Kato. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, Sandra.
Thank you for having me on your show.
All right. I'll start with Ndi. Ndi, we've heard a lot about the crisis in Southern Kaduna. Every week we see a new death toll with more horrible deaths. Now, you're both from Kaduna. You're both leaders there. Tell us what's happening in your home, Ndi. What are the causes of this violence?
Well, the causes of this violence is people choosing to be violent towards our people. We've seen a lot of killings. People just ride in, determined to cause maximum damages to communities, and then they ride out. And it has been happening. I mean, this is a circle of oppression that has been happening before we were born, and then it's continuing. Only that this time around, we have it under the full glare of social media. These reports can now come out. Different generations of people are beginning to speak out more about it. But this circle of violence has been going on, and it is the people who, I can't say we can ever get used to dying, but it has been this circle, and now we're under attack again. Attacks that have never stopped. That's not been a year since I've known myself that Southern Kaduna has been, before we start saying, when did we start seeing ourselves? That Southern Kaduna has been a happy place that they feel safe and in charge of their own lives, or, their security, or Nigeria cares or has anything in store for them aside from this kind of brutality. This is what is continuing now. People ride into our villages, they cause maximum damage. We don't see the kind of responses we expect to get from the government, and it is brutal for us. Houses are being burned. The elderly who can't run away are most likely the ones to get killed. People who are caught unawares to get killed. Properties burned. Farms attacked. I mean,
it's quite a lot.
It's a lot.
Mr. Buhari, do you share the same sentiments?
Yeah, I do. Totally. I mean, coming from the same region with in the cattle, this is what we are faced with virtually every day. I mean, if you are not running to go to the IDP camp to see how you can help those who are there, you are either running to the hospital to see how you can tend to those who are injured, or you are running back to the village to see how you can dig graves where mass burial will take place. So this is the cycle that has been happening in Southern Kaduna. Hardly does a day or week goes by without killings here or an attempt to kill here, stuff like that. In fact, apart from the killings that happen, the whole scale killings where whole communities are attacked and people are just slaughtered. There are also isolated killings that take place in farms. I mean, people go to farms, people go to the river to fish, women will go to the river to wash their clothes or stuff like that, and then there will be ambush, and then they will be killed. So it's been a terrible, story all around. And like you said, we've been having these killings for a very long time. I mean, the scale with which these killings are happening now are just awesome. So this is the fact narration that one gets from Southern Kaduna.
Indeed, the presidency has said the crisis in Southern Kaduna is caused by, quote, politically motivated banditry, revenge killings, and mutual violence by criminal gangs acting on ethnic and religious grounds, end quote. So I want to talk about the presidency's assessment of that situation piece by piece. Let me start with the part about mutual violence by criminal, ethnic, and religious gangs. So the presidency is saying that these attacks are not one-sided, but instead every tribe and religion has gangs attacking others. What do you say to that, Ndi?
What I think about that is an absolute failure to protect people. That, this kind of news should be coming from Nigeria Info FM, right? You are a journalist. It's your job to inform us about these things. This kind of news can come from Sahara Reporters, Premium Times, Film Angle, and Co. And then we'll be like, how did you do your investigation? Where did it come from as a journalist? Where did you get this news from? This is fake news. But from the presidency, their job is to make sure that this thing they are insinuating does not get to happen. So I'm not even going to sit down to debate whether they have said the truth or not. Okay, you say this is what it is. Why is it happening? Why is it happening? Because it shouldn't be happening, not under your watch. And to be bold enough to come and say, oh, this is what it really is. Like, you are, a journalist just neutral, but I'm watching and I can see this is, okay, Nigerians, come and see what's happening here. And just don't need you to tell them what's happening here. We have journalists for that. Underpaid and doing their great job as it is. But your job is to ensure that, look, groups of people, as you allege, can hate each other, but they shouldn't be able to do what it is that they carry out the result of their hate. Your job is to ensure that communities are safe, whether or not people want to kill them. That is their job. The job of the federal government is to ensure Nigerians are safe and the Nigerian state is sovereign. And right now, that is not happening. Their job is definitely not to break the news and come and tell us, this is really what is happening so casually. That's not their job. So we need the government to do their job.
I see. Mr. Buhari, do you agree with Ndi, that the president is saying what they've said is not what they should be saying? Or do you think, that there is some point to what the presidency is saying?
You see, we've had a lot of narratives being put out there in the public domain based on these killings. We've had narratives like, the people are killing themselves because they want to attract foreign donations. We've had narratives like, it's reprisal. No, it's revenge killing. And then I think about 4-5 days back, the governor of Kaduna State was on channel TV where he spoke completely, said it's banditry. So when you hear different narrations coming out from the same mouth, from the same source, I tend to give you an idea that somebody is actually not being responsible to what he or she should. Now, when people talk about, these are communal thoughts or bandits or whatever it is, I disagree. And I disagree based on fact. Now, if you look at how these killings have actually taken place, it is systematic. It's not just a one-off thing, random killings. No, it is systematic. It moves from one village, from one local government to the other. Now, in 2019 to 2014, Kawura local government was completely hit. One community after the other. And then suddenly it stopped. And then the killings moved to Sanga in 2015. Communities after communities, local governments were hit. And then it now stopped. And then in November, it now moved to Jama local government. And then community after community were hit in Jama local government. In between, Kawu local government was hit. Ngomagadi was hit twice. Yeah. So if you look at the pattern, if you look at the move, it tells you that this is one of things. This is not just a person. Because you go through these communities and you ask them, were there prior disagreements you had with Fulanis or any other person out there? They will tell you no. And let me also tell you something. There are indicators that the community is about to attack. Now, when you see the local Fulanis moving a day before, then rest assured that that community is about to be attacked.
I see.
Sometimes even the houses are still in a community where it's mixed, you see them moving out gradually, like it happened in Makali village. Makali village was about to attack. Now, the Fulani and the Hausas were there move out. And then 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m., the whole place is attacked. So we hear all this kind of thing. I mean, these are just leaders who don't want to own up to the fact that they have failed as leaders to secure their listen. Now, for God's sake, is it not just logical? Rather than bringing different narratives, it's banditry, oh no, is it? Just stop the killings. I mean, just stop the killings. So that you save yourself, instead of going through all these different narratives. For me, what they are saying doesn't really hold water based on facts that we're seeing.
Indeed, you were going to say something.
I was agreeing with him that this narrative, it's their job to just stop the killings. And instead, we're saying, and you know another thing that hurts is, if we say it is banditry, they would say no, it's not banditry. It's like they just want to have charge of this narrative and just do not want to do anything about it. And that's how it feels to me. Because if we come and say, oh, people are attacking us, we say, no, it's revenge killings, it's only bigoted people that would say people are attacking them on one side. We say, okay. So this is, you have said it's a clash, right? So it means these people came and did their own part of the clash today. And then when you say that, they're like, no, it's only people that would say, it's only bigots. And the government can confirm this. They say it's only bigots that are saying it is tribal or religious. These are just bandits. So it's just, these people should not have control of the narrative, should not post. I saw another write-up by a pro-government CSO person saying, when we even post pictures, we're looking to get people angry, looking for sensationalism. How else am I supposed to say my people are dying? How else are you going to tell a person, like, you want to dictate to a person how to mourn? How to, like, this is what is happening in your place. It's us that will tell you. This is how you should react. We'll be the ones to tell you. All of these things, keep us safe. No, you're not. It is upsetting.
Mr. Buhari, I want to take a look at that point that the presidency made about some of the killings being revenge killings, right? If the presidency is saying that revenge killings are happening, it means that there was an initial killing, Abi? So the question becomes, how have the security agencies in Kaduna handled those initial killings? Do you believe that the security agencies in Kaduna have done a good enough job making communities feel like if they are attacked, they're going to get justice? Because you talked about some members of the different communities sort of getting word ahead of an attack and moving out of those communities before the attack happens. And is it possible that members of the communities are getting word about attacks, but security agents are not getting word of attacks?
Well, it's surprising if the community, members of community will get information about an attack, but the police will don't. Now, and we know how some of this thing works. Now, in each local government, like I know in Kaduna State, you have an officer, a DSS officer that is stationed there that takes information weekly to their office here in Kaduna. And so when it comes to the issue of the security men and the expectations that they ought to perform the way they should, it doesn't work in this place. Now, we've had communities under a 24-hour curfew. People who are saddled with the responsibility of watching people who have been locked indoors. We've had stories, we've seen instances of where those communities have been attacked. Look, let me even tell you, just under the, when the COVID-19 started, I mean, Kaduna State, like other states, ban all form of movement, including interstate movement. But ironically, the total ban in Kaduna State came on, I think, March 25th, Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. Now, from that Wednesday, March 2020 to 15 June, when the state government lifted up that curfew, 78 people were killed. We had 11 attacks across 4 different local governments. In fact, the most surprising was an attack on a village we call Makali. It's right on the main road with GSM network and everything. So if you are expecting the security net, to come in and secure these people, honestly, there has been a total. Sometimes one is tempted to say a deliberate failure from them. The community of Indies was attacked. It's a semi-urban community close to just right there in Kapanta. But it was attacked for hours. They came, killed people, burn houses, and then they left. I mean, even the sound of gunshot is enough to attract the security men out there. So if you want to point to one of the factors that has actually helped this crisis, then it is the total failure from the security men. Another thing again is the utterances and then the body language of some of the people starting with the responsibility of leadership. For me, those utterances where they make justifications for this kind of attack, what it has done was just embolden this attacker to keep coming. Now, do we find it surprising that 78 people were killed across different local governments, but not a single of these people has been arrested? Not even one arrested, prosecuted. I mean, for me, even if I'm used to stealing meat from my mother's brother, and I do the first and the second time, and you don't arrest me, and my mom doesn't catch me, you simply tell me, hey, just keep doing it. So my mom sees me and she looks the other way. So security failure is a terrible thing that has made this attack, this crisis to flourish.
Now, I know that a lot of the villages and communities in Southern Kaduna have set up vigilante groups to protect themselves. How are these vigilante groups controlled, Ndi, to make sure that they are not escalating the situation, Ndi?
Well, in terms of, I think, firstly, that we then should answer this, especially as he's a core community leader in Southern Kaduna. And then secondly, to point out that when people even come together to form vigilantes, whatever it is, whatever ragtag thing they are able to gather to protect themselves are collected. The government carries out these raids in homes to find out who has a weapon or anything in their hands and collect them and still fails to protect, because most times after these things, the attacks happen again and people die. People are watched, people who are voices or community leaders are watched. It's just a lot. It just feels like from all ends, from government, from these attackers, it seems okay, everybody's just bearing down on us and it's unfair. So in terms of this, we have seen civilian joint task force in the Boko Haram battle, and everybody's wondering, well, if this is allowed there, why is our case different? Why is our case different? Why is the government not agreeing that the people who are on ground and understand what this is should be able to protect themselves, but work hand in hand with communities to protect themselves? Why is there an active move to stop people from protecting themselves?
Mr. Buhari, let me hear your thoughts.
Yeah. When the Boko Haram issue started becoming more public in the north, east, in Maiduguri and other places, and then we saw the export that the civilian JTF did. And what we kept asking here in Southern Kaduna, allow the youth to also form something like this. But no, rather what has happened is that we've had checks, we've had security men going into people's homes and then checking to see if they can find anybody holding any form of weapon. In fact, let me tell you, it got to a stage where the issue of contact was completely banned. I can tell you that one. Because these are the form of vigilante to some extent that, can help to protect some of these communities. Because you know how our communities are, they are actually dispersed very far, sometimes even remote. Now, what could actually help them? We have been this vigilante, but we've not had the cooperation that we ought to have in this thing. Rather, the government is saying they are responsible for securing and stuff like that. But it has not translated into saving lives. Because even the vigilante, let me tell you, in the village, what do they have? Just the occasional then guns that they use for farming, and then crops, and then possibly machete, and then boa oil. How can you fend off somebody who comes in with an AK-46? And it becomes very difficult. But if the government had actually been more interested in this thing, bringing some of these issues from the villages, equip them, give them some formal training, equip them, they will be able to start up some of these killings. We will be having all this high number of deaths. We are constantly according. So, an informal form of the line, but I tell you, it's they are doing it more like almost like hiding what they are doing. And like we said, they are vigilantes, but they don't have anything to fend off these attackers that are coming.
You know, yesterday Mieti Allah accused young people in Gorogam, community of Zango Kataf local government, of attacking and hospitalizing 3 cattle rearers who came to the village to graze their livestock. How much does tension between herders and farmers contribute to the violence in Southern Kaduna, Mr. Buhari?
Okay, I love this kind of question because for me, the issue of farmers' herdsmen class is an obsolete narrative now. Looking at the kind of the sophistication, the systematic killings, and attacks that are happening. So when I hear people talking about farmers' herdsmen class, I say, no, that was before. Of course, we used to have this kind of little disagreement then. There's no tension, let me tell you. There's no tension between farmers and herdsmen. Rather, what is happening is just the crisis or the tension that has come in because of these attacks. When you hear these herdsmen saying all these kind of things, for me, I keep saying it's a justification for what has happened or for what is about to happen. And I will keep saying, when they kill people from Southern Kaduna, the pictures are out there. People see the dead bodies, they see the mass graves, they see the people wailing, you see people in the hospital. But what these people do is to come up and say, so people have been attacked. And then sometimes we ask, sure, the dead bodies, it's not as if we glory or we delight in seeing dead bodies. But when you make such huge allegations, the burden is on you to show people now this is what has happened. And for us, we keep saying, we don't want problem with anybody. In fact, if anyone has wronged you, if anybody here has wronged you, we are ready to say, look, come, let's sit down and sort out this issue. But do you know the problem? Sometimes when you speak to even the local Fulani, some of them will be honest to tell you that what happened is that these killers come from somewhere to come and do this thing and then move on. So for me, what they are talking about, some people were beaten and put in hospitals, it doesn't compare. I'm not condoning.
But what is the goal? What is the aim? What is the goal of a trailer load of killers in a truck coming into a village to kill? There has to be an end game. There has to be a reason.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I'm actually curious now because if they don't steal, hardly do they steal anything. They just come in sometimes in the night, surround, burn, kill, and then they move out. And then you ask yourself exactly what is the goal. Let me tell you what is actually happening. Even in the attack that happened yesterday, communities in Zango Kataf were attacked, about 4 communities simultaneously. There's a picture that came out of a village in Kumi, Masala. You need to see how the attackers took their time to mow down or to hack down banana trees. So it gives you an idea of, look, this is something much, much bigger than this thing. Because we've seen evidence of this attack. They will go into a community after killing, they look for food banks, they look for where people have stored their grains, and they deliberately set fire to those banks. Now, for somebody who has finished killing or cutting or setting fire to a house, to look at a banana tree and use his machete to cut it down, cut all the trees, the banana trees in that compound. It tells me something much, much deeper right there. So for me, I keep asking, what exactly is the problem? And this question is what government ought to help us to answer. But we are not getting any answer on this kind of thing.
Ndikato.
It's the same thing Ruben has said again, and this points to eliminating entire populations. Already there is that danger, of course, of the existing narrative of the North being a monolith. People of a certain tribe, people of a certain look, people of a certain religion. And it seems that this is actually targeted at eliminating people who are not like that. And it is a sad thing. Because you can't just say, oh, these are attacks and reprisals, when you would see active targeting of people's livelihood. Sometimes when they don't go to the houses to kill, they go to the farms and just destroy the crops there. And in war, you know what that is. You know what that is in war when you are targeting food that people eat. You go to farms, and if you're saying, okay, these are reprisal attacks, let's look at the attack on my village in Zipak last week. What fight did the people of Zipak and Gomasara take to anywhere? And if you're saying, oh, it is a Zongon Qatar fight, do you know the distance between Zipak in Kafanchan to Zangon Qatar? And that these two tribes don't even speak the same language or have the same names. Atiap and Phantom are two very different tribes. So this narrative doesn't sell, because you can't tell me that, okay, you said that many years ago or last week, people attacked somebody in Atiap land, and then now Phantom this is like saying something happened in Lekki, and then, Ibadan is getting attacked for it. It doesn't make sense. Southern Kaduna is as big as 3 southwestern states, plus remaining land. If you combine Ekiti, Osun, and Lagos, it will not pick up to how big Southern Kaduna is for you to get the picture of what we're talking about here. People make it look like this is just some small communities. No, you're looking at the equivalent of 3 states being systematically emptied up. Being emptied up. People are dying, people are running, they are in IDP camps, they cannot continue their lives, cultures are being lost, children are being trafficked in the middle of this mess. It's a lot to deal with.
Lagos, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Why are so many Nigerians getting killed in Southern Kaduna? Helping us answer those questions are community leaders from Southern Kaduna, Ruben Buhari and Ndikato. Ndikato is a human rights activist as well as a politician. And we're trying to get to the bottom of this. Between January and July of 2020, Civic Media Lab counted press reports of 178 killings in Southern Kaduna. Now, we're going to keep this conversation up in a few minutes, but we need to take a quick break. We're streaming on Facebook, so please leave us your thoughts on Facebook. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. You can also send us your thoughts via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. It's 5:30.
Hard Facts will be right back.
Welcome back to Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili.
I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. It's 28 minutes to 6. Lagos, let me take a few calls. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to make your point. 2 minutes each to make your points. 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. You can also share your thoughts via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. Why so many Nigerians getting killed in Kaduna? You've heard from Southern Kaduna. I want to hear from you. What do you think about the things that my guests have been saying so far? What's your assessment of the situation in Southern Kaduna? What do you think needs to be done to end the violence? Amos is in Lekki and he's our first caller today. Hello, Amos. Thanks for calling.
Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening. You've got 2 minutes. Go.
Okay. Let me start by appreciating my brother Ruben and my sister over there. They are quite spoken words, and I want Nigerians to believe of what they are saying. Like, I'm in here in Lagos. I always travel to Kaduna. Sandra, you can remember I normally used to say leadership in northern states, they are not there for development. And I normally used to say in this radio station that the perpetrators of my people in Southern Kaduna are the government. I can say that without fear or favor. I'm ready to defend myself even at the court of law. I normally used to say that. So I want all Nigerians to believe what my brothers are saying. And please, let us come over with a good solution. God bless you.
Bless you as well, Amos. Amos is actually in Ikoyi, not Lekki. Amos, thank you so much for giving us that phone call. We appreciate it. 99.3. Prince Wires, good to have you on the show. 2 minutes.
Okay, my dear. You see, when you talk about this Southern Kaduna, why all the time? It doesn't start today. We know what happened at 82. We come home and Major General death court. You know what happened? The leadership of that place are the problem. The religion leader, the traditional leader, the community leader, if they don't start them down, because many people are taking place, no result. That's the problem. It doesn't start now. So for me, those people, I think the real problem is tribe and religion. What are we talking about? I don't show religion. Is religion without no God? I'm telling you, we only hear
so what's the role of the security agents in this story? I mean, because you heard my guests in the beginning when they said whether it's religion or tribal, the point is the killings should not be happening.
Let me tell you, can police every community? This is impossible. How many police do we have in this country? Can police every community? It can't possible. But a community, a people without love, the number one religion in this country today is love. When you hate one another, things happen. And the way you talk of killing today, not only in Southern Kaduna, we had one going in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Katsina, Present State. What are we talking about? But in Nigeria today, we only focus. What if something is happening in the south here? But when we hear Southern Kaduna, as if the people of that Southern Kaduna and the Northern Kaduna, they must unite.
All right. Thank you, Prince YS. Unfortunately, I'm giving everyone 2 minutes, and your 2 minutes is up. Our last call is Richard. Hello, Richard. Thanks for calling.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My president, how are you?
I'm very well. You've got 2 minutes.
Yes. I want to go straight to the point and the solution. See, we all know what is happening in this country. We should just find a solution to it. Well, my solution to the killing all over the country, not only Southern Kaduna, I say, see, unless why I say we, because I am ready. Unless we kill one of the son or daughter, if one of them is killed, I swear they will find a solution to the killing. It's as that. They just find one of their son or daughter and kill it, I swear they will find solution to the killing. Because it's
Well,
not
let's not advocate for the murder of anybody on national radio. Mr. Buhari, you heard Prince YS say that this is because people hate each other. The leaders need to sit down and talk this out. Do you think the solution is that simple? Everybody sit down, join hands, sing Kumbaya.
Yeah, of course, I'm somebody who will not be averse to people sitting down and talking, but if you know the history of Southern Kaduna and some of this conflict, you also know that we've had a lot of sittings. I mean, a lot of sittings. Declaration of this, declaration of that, and then the moment you just leave the table where you've done all the time, you hear an attack taking place somewhere. So is either this sitting has not really worked well, or maybe we've not been sitting down with the right people. I mean, but if you look at it generally, you find out that it's not as simple as that. When it comes to the issue of killings, like somebody said, not just in Southern Kaduna. So I think the problem needs to be looked at holistically from the national, from the center. Why are people fight? If you look at the news, you find out that there's even a protest going on today. They are tired of the killing. So if you look at all these things, you realize that there's something much, much bigger. I mean, whose solutions lie somewhere else rather than bringing one or two people sitting down and talking. It has not stopped the killings, actually. It hasn't stopped the killings. The numbers of sittings that would have ended these killings, then Kaduna State would have been very peaceful. But there's a fundamental failure in the security institutions. There's also a failure in governance. Because for me, I say this with all sense of responsibility. One of the key things that a leader ought to do is to take care of these people. I mean, secure them. By the time you don't do that, whatever it is that comes later is absolutely nothing. I mean, you build fine road for them, and then it will be the best bodies that will be there on the road to stuff like that. So for me, there's a bigger problem that this solution lies at the central government we have.
Could one of the solutions be reforming traditional rule in Kaduna? Governor El Rufai says he wants to reform traditional rule. If he has his way, traditional rulers will reign over geographical locations and not ethnic groups. He also said membership of an area will be by residency and not origin. He thinks that this will reduce violence in the state. Indikato, do you agree?
No, I don't. I don't agree with that, of course. I find that in itself violence against our people, and we do not agree. The North is not a monolith. Southern Kaduna is not monolithic. So you can't say, oh, this one king will rule over so many groups of people. It can't work. We are not. We don't fall under Emirates. We are Republican in nature. So it means that we have little chiefdoms and people who belong to these chiefdoms. And these chiefdoms have never been at enmity with each other. They have never been at war with each other. So why are you having a different problem and you're saying you will displace chiefdoms as the solution? It doesn't work. And in terms of this residents talk, again, for people who are already endangered, where they come from, in their own land, this is unfair, and it's actively playing into the hands of these attackers. It's actively playing into the hands of people who want to eliminate and replace the populations in Southern Kaduna. And if the solutions to things that are already costing people their lives is things that further erase them, we really need to know which side leadership is on.
Mr. Buhari.
Yeah, you see, we had one or two problems then, and then I think in 2000 or 2002, Governor Ahmed Mohamed McCarthy now came in, and then he now started the issue of this kingdom. He was giving most of this community the kingdom that is the maximum, and then there was peace. I mean, we could say relative peace, but there was peace. So, Governor El Rufai came in, and then for whatever it is that is driving him, he said we want to reform them. I mean, I might not even have a problem with that, but the approach to it is the problem. Already, this is somebody who has a lot of baggage when it comes to the issue of credibility hanging around him. There's a lot of suspicion around every of his move. There's this perception about him that is not really good. And then you want to do a key thing. It is at the culture of these people. And you didn't see the need to gather these people and say, look, Sudan, this is my idea, this is what I want to do. How do you look at it? And moreover, if you look at it, our culture and our tradition has never been limited by geography. What our chiefs are known for is the cultural spread that they are known for. And that is why if you look at their names, you find out that their names do not have this limiting geography or location that he's trying to break into. Rather, it is culture. Okay, the Agoma Siap is the tribe. This is the king of the people, wherever they are. The Agom Baju, this is the king of the Baju people, wherever they are. You know, Agoma Dara, this is the king of the Adara, wherever they are found. You know, but when you say instead of Agoma Dara, you are now want to limit it to say Serkin Ketia or chief of Kajuru. It doesn't mean, and it doesn't fit well, because the Adara people are found in Ketia, they are found in part of Nigeria, they are found in Kajuru local government, they are found in Kagarku. So if you limit this one to just a location, what in essence are you saying? Like I said, the implementation was done unprofessionally, and that is why he's getting a lot of this people. So it has not worked. It has not worked.
It cannot work. Now, there's something the state governor said about allegations of land grabs, right? Because some of that has also come out in the wake of these tragedies. He says that the allegations of land grabs are not true because his government hasn't seen any such report. He also said any traditional ruler whose land has been taken by militias or bandits from another tribe should come and declare it to the press. What do you say to that, Mr. Buhari? Do you have any concrete reports of land grabs from a specific community?
Yeah, though I consider his work like playing to the gallery or just being cheeky, because there are facts out there. And like I said, the governor doesn't need to sit down and say, you come and tell me if any of the community has been taken. There are security men out there who can feed him with all this information. Now, let's concede to the fact that, yes, he doesn't know. From May 18 to 24th, there are communities, about 8 communities or 9 communities that were attacked. Those communities, and I'm saying this thing so that everybody will know. And I'm saying this thing for those who want to go and find out. There are communities in Kaduna local government, in Galila Ward, around Gefe village. Those communities stay across River Kaduna. Those communities were attacked between 18 to 24th. Google it, you'll find it. And a lot of people were killed. So far, there are about 50 people who are still missing. You know why they are missing? Because these people, the survivors, have not been able to go back into those communities to bury the people that have been killed over 2 months back. What has happened is that any attempt they make to go back, they get shot. So far, there are about 5 youths that have been killed because they've made attempt to go and assess their ability to see the kind of damage that is there. So when somebody comes up and says, there's no land grabbing, there's this, for me, I don't go into all those grammar. The fact that people have not been able to go back to their community 2-3 months after it was attacked, for me, it translates into land grabbing. I mean, loosely, whatever it is you can call it, but it's not been able to. Now, the bulk of these people are staying as IDP in remote village, in Doka village, in Kala village, in Kaswamagani village. If you go there, a lot of them, widows and stuff like that, they have not been able to go back. There's a village called Agwana Makayaki, which was attacked on 4th June. 4th June it was attacked. This is the second time that this village was attacked. The people there have left those villages because after the second attack, they tried to go back, to their farms, and then one person was shot, and then they left. There's a village called Ladi village in Chukun local government. It was attacked around February. and then the people ran away, and they came to an IDP camp here in Gonigora. In fact, the IDP camp is situated in the Assemblies of God Church, Gonigora. That's where they're staying. Now, they decided to now go back, and then they were attacked again. So they left the village. Apart from that, there are about 9 villages all around the Ningwari Chukundia. The people have left the village since around January, February. They've not gone back, because every time they attempt to go back, they are killed. So what is that? Is that land grabbing? For me, whatever it is that people choose to call it, but these people, land have been taken up. They've not been able to go back to those lands. So when I heard that about the governor, I got out these things, and I said they are widows, they are survivors, they are ready to testify and speak about this thing. I mean, I even gave direction of anybody, if you want to go to that place. I said, let the security men go there. I mean, just go and find out if we are lying. But nobody is doing anything. Rather, you hear news on the radio or TV, I know there's no weather. In fact, should we even be concerned about land grabbing, for God's sake? We should be. We should be concerned about stopping the killings. You are not bothered about stopping the killings. You are rather bothered about people saying that land has been grabbed. For me, it's among putting the cart before the horse, or is it the horse before the cart, or whatever it is. But some things are not just logical in this whole thing.
Indeed, the governor also said that the government has spent 16 billion naira on security in 5 years. But there cannot be peace until the communities decide that they want peace. Do you think that the federal government and the state government are doing all that they should be doing? And if you don't think so, what are some concrete things that you would tell them to be doing if you were their advisor, Ndi?
They already have DSS on ground. I'm saying this is simple. Use the intel you have, because we know you have it, and protect the people. It's not that complicated. Use the intel you have, protect the people. You can't tell us that you have 16 billion at your disposal for negotiating with people who are going around villages and killing people and paying them more. Is that where the money enters? Perhaps maybe we should be told if that negotiation and that sum that was that money that was admitted to be given to have been given to terrorists to stop killing people, if that's part of the 16 billion. Are we seeing the 16 billion is taking care of IDP or making sure people can go back home? I don't know. I need a breakdown, a total breakdown of how these monies were spent, in what communities they were spent. I think that would be very, very important to me. But to simplify this is that, look, you have the intel. You have everything to get the intel. Get the intel and stop these attacks. And again, let's see the breakdown of the 16 billion. I like hearing big numbers, but I'd also like to know where exactly the 16 billion was spent, because on the day my village was attacked, I didn't see any security personnel.
Ndikato Ruben Buhari, thank you so much for sharing your story with us on Hard Facts.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Lagos, you've heard from my guests. Now I want to hear from you. You've heard from Southern Kaduna. I want to hear from you as well. If you're not able to call in right now, we've got 10 minutes to wrap this up. Actually, we've got 8 minutes to wrap this up. But if you cannot call in right now, I may be able to extend the conversation all the way until 7. So if you don't calling in the next 10 minutes, you can call in immediately after the news at 6, where we'll continue this conversation. What do you think about what my guests had to say? What's your assessment of the situation in Southern Kaduna? What do you think needs to be done to end the violence? 0700-993-993. 993. I'm still giving everybody 2 minutes. You can make your points in 2 minutes, I think. It's a lot of time. 0700-993-993. You can also share your thoughts with us via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. 99.3. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you? What's your name?
I'm fine. Good evening, President Sandra.
Sandra is just fine. What's your name?
My name is Victor.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Yes, please, I'm calling to play Just a Minute.
Well, we're not playing Just a Minute just yet. And everybody else who's calling in to play Just a Minute, please stop calling. We're not playing Just a Minute just yet, all right? So if you're calling for Just a Minute, please don't call for Just a Minute. When it's time for Just a Minute, I'll actually announce that it's time for Just a Minute. Let's take one more call. 99.3.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Gocha. I call you, please.
Good to have you on the show. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Sandra, good evening.
Good evening.
The point is this. From the book Things Fall Apart, Chinachebe said that when you see your birds on the wire or in a tree singing and dancing, the drummer is very, very close by. What we are saying is so sad. It's so sad and it's so funny that whenever there is something happening outside the shore of this country, you see the presidency sending a condolence greetings to that places and all that. What is happening? The people that is perpetrating these people, they have a strong backing in government. Listening to what the two guys have said, Ruben and Indy have said, even without them even coming to the show to say, it has been proven. So there is no pretense about it. And it's so sad that every other part of the country, we are just silent, listening to this. I wish we can really, really hammer on this, just like we talked about the other time, rape issue and all that. Even the president, the community say something about rape. It's a shame. Let's do something. And what can we do? What can we possibly?
Hello. Sorry about that, but the good thing is you did make your point. But except for the part where you said that it's been proven that there are players within the government who are also involved in this, and that's why it continues to happen. That's not accurate, and it's not right to say that because that part has not actually been proven. 99.3. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name, sir? Turn your radio off. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. What's your name?
Akpan is his name from Badagry.
Welcome, Akpan. Go ahead.
Yeah. We have one question to ask ourselves. I know the increase in population caused most of these damages to so many regions in this country. In those days, those tribes existed up to this moment. There was no fight, there was no struggling, there was no killing. But now it is so rampant throughout the whole nation. People, a brother rise up to kill the brother, sister, relation, uncle, and every person. Can we call this ugly issue to order by putting this thing across the traditional ruler? That look, this thing has not been happening like this. Why should it continue this present time? Because now we are heading to fire, everlasting fire, that it may not bring progress to this nation. That is my own point.
Akpan, thank you so much for calling to share it with me. We've got people who are sharing their thoughts with us on Twitter. There's a conspiracy going on in Nigeria, especially in Southern Kaduna, where, whether we believe it or not, they want to wipe off every tribe that is not of a particular extraction. Who are the target in the north? Mind you, I did not mention religion. All right, Makata Emmanuel. Thanks for sending your thought in. We've got more comments on Twitter. Sandra, the killings will continue as far as the government of the day permits it. Have anyone been arrested since the killings started? Nigerians must arise and defend themselves, period. We've got more people sharing their thoughts. This one says, because they are illiterate, building mosques at every angle instead of schools. I served there and I cannot walk around because I'm a Christian. The leaders only want to be praised and the youth are not growing. Most of them end up in unsavory situations. The problem is with their religious belief. This person thinks that that's the reason so many Nigerians are getting killed in Southern Kaduna. That's a very reductionist way to look at it, but okay. Chuk Scalving says, divide Kaduna State into two, Southern Kaduna State and Northern Kaduna State. This whole violence will stop. Safety Watch says, government negligence on the people and security officials not doing their job the right way is the reason this continues. Okay. I'm going to let you think about that a bit. And after the news at 6, we're going to switch gears, all right? My producers are saying, no, let's leave the conversation here for now, and we'll continue it on a different day. So after the news at 6, because it's a Thursday, I'll bring you I Beg to Differ. On I Beg to Differ today, we're going to talk about what you think businesses need more. Which one do you think businesses need more, electricity or credit? Now, I know that SMEs need both. I know that they need both credit and they also need electricity. But a hypothetical situation where we could only improve one of these two problems, power shortage, low access to loans, which of these ones do you think that businesses need more? We'll talk about that some more after the news at 6. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Don't go away.
The news. Timely, fresh as it breaks on 99.3 Nigeria Info.